In the Satipatthana practice, it is very important to have upright knowledge. Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, one's view should be upright and straightforward. Paṇḍitā Sammaditthi, it is explained that in the term Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, Ditti should be taken as Kamaskata Sammaditthi, the knowledge that one's own deeds are one's own property. By doing wrongful action, one will get bad results. By doing good action, one gets good results. So one should have the view, the knowledge that good deeds bring good results, bad deeds bring bad results. One's own good and bad deeds are one's own property. And in the term Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, Ditti should be taken as Kamaskata Sammaditthi. And yesterday Saraji explained that. Saraji will explain Kama on the following day. Sammaditthi is the right view. When it is said Kamaskata Sammaditthi, it implies that there are also other kinds of Sammaditthi. So defining Ditti as Kamaskata Sammaditthi, especially because there are other kinds of Sammaditthi. So Saraji will first explain the types of Sammaditthi, and explaining briefly, Saraji will explain each and individual Sammaditthi briefly. So in any kind of literature, any kind of language, in order to make known to other person, there are sentences, paragraphs written so as to make others know. And there are also words that has profound meaning. There are words that has many meanings. So in order to know the meaning of the word accurately, precisely, one needs to know what the meanings of the word is. And there will be explanation what the word means in this context. So first it will explain all the meanings, and it will explain what the word means in the specific context. Here in the Bhikkhu Sutta, the Bhikkhu asked the Buddha to teach in a concise way, and the Bhikkhu believed that by receiving a concise form of teaching, he would understand so that he can put it into practice. So he requested the Buddha to teach concisely. And Buddha also taught in a concise way so that it will be in accordance with what the Bhikkhu had requested. So in Bhikkhu Sutta it mentions Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, one should have straight, forward, upright view. And in the term Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, Ditti means Kamaskata Sammaditthi in this Sutta. In other texts, there are explanations on the types of Sammaditthi, and they also explain what kind of Sammaditthi should be taken in that context. So today, Sayadaw will explain 5 types of Sammaditthi. In other way, 6 types of Sammaditthi, and Sayadaw will explain one by one. In other texts, there are 5 kinds of Sammaditthi. The first one is Kammaskata Sammaditthi. The second is Jhana Sammaditthi. The third is Vipassana Sammaditthi. The fourth, Magga Sammaditthi. And the fifth, Phala Sammaditthi. So in Vipassana practice, Kammaskata Sammaditthi is most important. And in some of the texts, instead of the Jhana Sammaditthi, there comes the Paccavekkhana Sammaditthi. So combining these 2 ways, there can be 5 types of Sammaditthi. In other way, 6 types of Sammaditthi. And Sayadaw will explain briefly one by one. Every being wants to have happiness and comfort, and everyone dislikes suffering. In life, one commits good and bad deeds, and that lead to further suffering. And people like to have a good life that is complete. In the essential realm, the life of a human being or the life of a deity that is better than the human being is considered to be the life that is complete. In order to gain the good kind of life, one needs to have Kammaskata Sammaditthi. Having Kammaskata Sammaditthi, one knows that good deeds bring good results, bad deeds bring bad results, and one will be able to perform sucarita, good conduct, and one will be able to refrain from docarita, evil conduct. When the person performs dana without expecting personal gain, but performing dana for the benefit of others, performing dana with metta, loving kindness, such kind of person will be well-to-do in every life, filled with material things, having good standard of life, having good earning, and having the material wealth. But one should not just be performing dana without the moral practice. The moral conduct leads the person to be reborn as a human or a deity, and thus the moral conduct, morality, gives the bhava sampatti, accomplishment of life, as a result. One should refrain from docarita, evil conduct. One should be refraining from evil conduct by body, speech, and mind. So one should practice sila, morality, in order to refrain from bad conduct by body and speech. And the practice of sila, morality, gives bhava sampatti as a result, gaining good life as a result. And in order to have bhava sampatti, one should have kammaskata sammaditthi. Having kammaskata sammaditthi, one will have the life of a human being and the life of a deity. So in order to have wealth in the human life, deity life, one needs dana, one needs to do offering. In order to have good result, by doing offering, one gets material wealth as a result. So dana gives the result, bhoga sampatti, to be endowed with material wealth, and sila, morality, give the result, bhava sampatti, to have good life as a result. So having kammaskata sammaditthi, one will have a human life or deity life, but not better. The sensual realm is filled with sensual objects that are good and pleasant. So there are the sensual objects. These sensual objects attract the person so that the person cannot part with these sensual objects. Because these sensual objects attract the person, captivate the person, these sensual objects are called kama guna. And the person is attracted, not wanting to part with these sensual objects. But if the person gets the same kind of sensual object over and over again, the person gets bored and fed up. However good the sensual object may be, but after some time, the person gets fed up with it. And coming across undesirable things, there will be anger, hatred, aversion. So one wants to reach the realm where it is free from dosa. So they are not satisfied with the dana, offering things. They are not satisfied with sila, morality. But they practice samatha jhana. They practice absorption. Having practiced samatha jhana, having attained the absorption, the person reborn as the Brahma, where there are both materiality and mentality. And there are also the Brahma realm, where there is no materiality, but only mentality. Some people discussed the mentality, thinking that because there is the mind, there tends to be craving, wanting this, wanting that. So they long for the kind of existence where there is no mentality, but only the materiality. So when they practice samatha jhana in order to cut the mentality, they are reborn as the Brahma, where there is only the materiality. By practicing jhana, the knowledge that associates with the jhana is called jhana sammaditthi. The view, the knowledge that associates with the jhana, it is called jhana sammaditthi. Jhana sammaditthi gives the result, which is the rebirth in the Rupa, fine material, and Arupa, non-material Brahma. So jhana Sammaditthi can only give the result, which is the rebirth in the Brahma existence. In the word Magga Sammaditthi, Magga ordinarily means path. It is the path leading to the cessation of all suffering. And the path has 8 factors. These 8 factors of the path lead to Nibbana. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, the mind gets purified. There is Sila Visuddhi, purification of morality. Citta Visuddhi, the purification of the mind. And one discerns the Nama Rupa, and one cultivates knowledge stage by stage. And there is Jnana Dassana Sammaditthi, the right view, which is knowledge. When one's Vipassana Jnana, insight knowledge, becomes complete, the Magga, the path, become purified, high and noble. The knowledge that associates with the Magga, in other words, the knowledge that associates with the path consciousness, is called Magga Sammaditthi. Magga Sammaditthi has the quality of destructing the suffering, the continuous arising of the cause and effect. In this way, having attained Magga Sammaditthi, one destructs the suffering of the round of existences. When path consciousness arises, fruition consciousness also arises. The knowledge that associates with the fruition consciousness is called Phala Sammaditthi. Magga Sammaditthi destructs the suffering of the round of existences, and Phala Sammaditthi calms and tranquilizes the heat. So the example is given here. When the fire is extinguished, then the heat remains, and by pouring water, the heat also calms down, cools down. So the Phala Sammaditthi is just like the pouring of the water in order to calm, in order to cool down the heat. Magga Sammaditthi and Phala Sammaditthi cuts the round of existences. The Kammasakata Sammaditthi and Jhana Sammaditthi leads to rebirth into new existence. But Magga Sammaditthi and Phala Sammaditthi cuts and stops the existence. So it is the difference between the first pair and the second pair. Vipassana Sammaditthi cannot cut the rebirth, but there is no mention that it leads to rebirth. So there is no mention anywhere that Vipassana Sammaditthi leads to rebirth. But the Kammasakata Sammaditthi and Jhana Sammaditthi leads to rebirth into new existences. Vipassana Sammaditthi does not give result into new existence, but it cuts the round of existence. And the last one is Paccavekkhana Sammaditthi. By practicing meditation, when Vipassana knowledge becomes mature and complete, one realizes the cessation of all the nama rupa. Pavata is the continuous arising of the nama rupa. But when one attains nibbana, the cessation, having attained the cessation of the nama rupa, one has the reviewing knowledge. And this reviewing knowledge of what one has attained by realizing nibbana, this reviewing knowledge is the Paccavekkhana Sammaditthi. Among the types of Sammaditthi, Kammaskata Sammaditthi is the junction. So when one wants to travel to different parts, from the junction one needs to take certain road leading to the destination. In the same way, Kammaskata Sammaditthi is like the junction. If one wants to have the assistance of a Brahma, from the junction of Kammaskata Sammaditthi, one needs to practice the jhana path. And if the person wants to have the assistance of a human being or deity, one needs to follow the path from the junction of Kammaskata Sammaditthi by practicing dana and sila. People who see the flaws of sensual pleasure, people who see the flaws of greed, hatred, they follow the jhana path, practicing absorption, and they will get to the destination by having the assistance of the Brahma. But when one understands that further assistances lead to more suffering, because when there is rebirth, there is bound to be old age, disease, and death. So suffering of old age, disease, and death will be inevitable so long as there is rebirth. If there is no more rebirth, there will be no more suffering. Understanding thus, when the person aims for nibbana, which is totally free from all the suffering, then the person has to walk on the Magga path. The person has to go to practice the Eightfold Noble Path from the junction of Kammaskata Sammaditthi. One has to follow the Eightfold Noble Path in order to attain nibbana. So having attained the cessation, there will not be any more suffering. So in this way, Kammaskata Sammaditthi is like the junction where one takes different kind of road depending on what destination the person aims for. So from the Kammaskata Sammaditthi junction, one can follow the path leading to mundane destination or super mundane destination. Also, in order to practice Satipatthana meditation, one needs Kammasata Sammaditthi as the foundation. Without the Kammasata Sammaditthi foundation, one cannot get anywhere and one will end up in wrongful destiny. In the world, there are different kinds of nations. There are travelers who are traveling domestic trips, and there are travelers who are traveling the international trip. Depending on what the traveler takes, whether the traveler goes by ship, boat or car or plane. So, if the person is going to take the trip by bus, the person has to go to the bus stop to take the bus. And if the person is taking the ship, then the traveler has to go to the port to take the ship. And if the traveler wishes to go by plane, he or she has to go to the airport to catch a flight. So there are different kinds of traveler who travels domestic trip or international trip. And whenever one needs to make the trip, one needs to arrive on time in order to able to catch the bus or the flight or the train. And also, the person needs to pay a fee, a fare. The person needs to pay the fare for the ticket, and the person needs to follow the regulation as the traveler. And if the vehicle does not break down, halfway the person will reach the destination safe and sound. From the junction of Kammasata Sammaditthi, there are many bypaths that one can take in order to reach the destination. So as a traveler, one needs to pay the fare for the ticket, and one needs to be a good traveler, abiding by the regulations during the trip. So when the yogi is taking the trip from Pavata, continuous arising of the Nama-rupa, to the destination of Apavata, Nibbana, where it is the cessation from all the Nama-rupa, the yogi also needs to pay the price in order to have enough for the fare, for the ticket to Nibbana. And they need to follow the rules and regulations, the discipline, while they are on the journey to Nibbana. When the person travels, they take the vehicle, they are in comfort when taking the vehicle. But when they are traveling to Nibbana, they need to pay a very high price in order to get to Nibbana. So they need to pay the high price, practicing diligently apart from sleeping hours every single second, so that there will be sustained mindfulness. The mind does not go elsewhere, the mind does not wander. So in this way, yogis have to pay a high price, having diligent practice apart from sleeping hours, without stopping, so that they will be on the straight path where it leads to Nibbana, the cessation. Having walked on the correct path, one can reach the destination by having attained the Magga Phala Jnana, path and fruition, knowledge. And tomorrow Sayadaw will explain what is Magga, and Sayadaw will explain how Magga can destroy the sufferings, and Sayadaw will explain what, in order for the Magga to be able to destroy the suffering, what requisites one needs in order to attain Magga. And this will be all for today.